everybody, this is Joel Hoekstra of Whitesnake, and you're listening to the Glam Metal Interview Series.
Welcome to the Glam Metal Interview Series, presented by RockMusicStar.com, with host Thomas S. Orwad Jr.
Hey Glam Metal heads, it's Thomas, and welcome to episode number 5 of the Glam Metal Interview Series, presented by RockMusicStar.com. For this episode, we have superstar guitarist Joel Hoekstra as our special guest. You probably know Joel best as the current guitarist in Whitesnake, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and also Cher. But Joel has also been working on another project, a band called the Echobats, which also features all-star musicians Tony Harnell, James Lomenzo, Eric Levy, and Matt Starr. During this interview, Joel talks about the Echobats and also the steps he took to become one of the most sought-after guitarists in rock music. So here he is, Joel Hoekstra. We are on the phone today with our special guest, Joel Hoekstra from Whitesnake, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Cher, and today he's going to be promoting a new project called the Echobats. Joel, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. Thanks so much for taking the time out to chat.
Absolutely. Now, Joel, with everything that's going on right now, and with you having so many different outlets, did you ever imagine that at this point in 2020, you would have so few shows under your belt?
Well, you take these things as they come. I mean, it's definitely new territory for me, but I've just managed to keep myself busy, and as long as I'm moving forward and staying productive, I feel pretty good about it all. And that for me at this time is just kind of coming down to a lot of writing and recording, and also a lot of teaching. I've been doing some master classes for Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and also teaching private Skype lessons, and so it's all good. I mean, I would prefer to be out on tour and living the life, but, all things considered, I can't really complain.
Yeah, now you have a brand new project out, like I mentioned before, called the Echobats. It has a pretty good lineup of band members. Tony Harnell from TNT is in it. Joe Lomenzo is in it from White Lion and Megadeth, and Zakk Wylde, and Matt Starr is in it. Eric Levy from Night Ranger. Tell us a little bit about this project, and how serious are you guys about taking it to the next level?
Well, we're going to figure that one out. I'll answer that part first. I mean, we're just gauging the response on this initial release to see what's going to happen. But the genesis of the project is basically Matt Starr talking to Tony Harnell about doing something, and they contacted me about playing guitar. And then we thought, well, who's the right bass player? And James came to mind. So from there, we put together about 8 song ideas and got them to Tony. And this is the first one that he's completed. So we're just sort of seeing what happens. And once we recorded it, I brought Eric Levy into the fold from my time with him at Night Ranger. We're still friends. He's a wonderful guy, amazing musician. So that's how we all kind of came together to release this song, Save Me From Loving You. Which basically I wrote the music for, and then Tony wrote the vocal melody and the lyrics. So we're just gauging the response, which has been amazing so far. So I guess that bodes well for potential additional material.
Yeah, you put out a video for it. I mean, it looks like it was a fun video to make.
Yes, I mean, we were definitely dealt a difficult hand. Making a video during the COVID era. Not exactly ideal, but it led to some unique results. I mean, it's actually one of my favorite videos that I've been a part of, just because I was pretty much cooped up in my New York City apartment with my family, with my 2. I have young kids. They're 8 and 4. And this is the one time where I said, you know what? Daddy needs to shoot a video in the apartment, because we were at that point, we weren't even really going outside much at all. So the kids were all about it. They wanted to be in it, so I gave them a go, and their 15 minutes of fame, which I had never really put them on social media to date. So it's big fun for them. My boy is really excited about it. He's always asking me what people are saying about the song, and if they're commenting about him in the video.
Yeah, I like I said, I thought it was a fantastic video, and recorded under some really strange circumstances, but I think you guys really did the best you possibly could have, making it entertaining.
Well, thank you so much. I think the song is a feel-good track, and that's definitely appealing to people at the moment because I think that's what people need.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go back and I think that your career is very fascinating. How you've went from a solo artist and then you kind of built your way up to playing with some of the biggest bands in the world right now. It's very inspiring. We want to just kind of like let's start from like your background. I know you're classically music trained.
Yeah, I mean, my parents are classical musicians, so they had me on cello and piano very young. Age of 3 for cello and 7 for piano. And at that age, I really just wanted to be a baseball player for the most part. I wasn't too into it. And then I heard AC/DC at the age of 11, and that kind of changed everything. Just seeing Angus Young and all his crazy stage presence and everything lit a fire in me. And asked my parents if I could get a guitar, and had some good teachers that got me rolling. And that's how it all began. And that was all in the suburbs of Chicago. And gosh, I mean, my career is like a series of baby steps. So we might need to break it down a bit. If I tell you the progress of every gig, it's going to take an hour.
No, we're not gonna do that. We'll go to we'll fast forward then to 2000 when you put out your first solo record.
Yeah, so that came about. I was just ideas that I was playing musically with other bands and projects while I was back in the Chicago suburbs at that time. And my friend TJ Helmrich in Los Angeles, who's a early guitar teacher of mine. He taught me when I was about like 13, 14 years old. I was head of the recording department at Musicians Institute. And at the same time, I had visited LA. I forget why now at the time, but met his rhythm section, Virgil Donati and Rick Fiorabracci, and we had done some jamming during the hang out there, and they were like, hey, if you ever have anything you want us to play on, let us know. And TJ had the studio available there and free studio time, and I thought, I really need to make this happen. So that became known as, put all that together, and that became known as my first CD, Undefined, which basically instrumental guitar music that spans a lot of genres, and anywhere from funky to kind of like spoofy country on there to tongue-in-cheek blues stuff. So there's a wide variety on there. And then I used the same rhythm section on a follow-up called The Moon is Falling, which I would just think I've described more as experimental instrumental rock. Lots of wild guitar tones on there. It was definitely my artistic era for sure.
Yeah, and were your solo albums responsible for you getting the gig in Rock of Ages?
Not at all. That came from my time in New York City. I have a friend who lives not far from me here, who is a pit musician, and he asked me if I'd ever be interested in filling in for him, and I thought, man, I haven't done anything like that since high school, and it sounds scary as hell, right? To be a Broadway pit musician when I'm used to just like playing in a band on stage. And anyway, I would learn all the books, whatever show that he was playing, and I would fill in for him. And one of those shows was called Tarzan, that Phil Collins wrote the music for. Right. And the keyboard player on that show became the music supervisor for Rock of Ages. So it was very much like networking in the theater world that got me the Rock of Ages gig, more so than the rock world.
Wow, interesting. And then you joined Night Ranger in 2008. How did that come about?
So that was also a product of hard work. When in the Chicago suburbs, I began to do a little bit of studio work for a guy named Jim Peterick, very talented songwriter, musician. And people would know him from Survivor. He wrote like Eye of the Tiger and a million other classic rock hits, honestly. So he would have these concerts called World Stage, Jim Peterick's World Stage, like once or twice a year. And I was in the house band for that. So a lot of people would come in and sing their hits from the 80s. I got to play with a lot of classic rock. I don't know what the proper term is, but celebrities from that, right? I mean, like singers. And so back them up. And one that was there every year was Kelly Kagey from Night Ranger, the drummer. who wrote and sang Sister Christian. So I would see Kelly once a year for many, many years. I was doing this gig. Like, I mean, it would be 7-8 years or something before I had my crack at being a Night Ranger. And so, yeah, one year he came in and I learned that Jeff Watson was no longer with the band. And I said, well, what's up? You guys should have called me, man. I'd be perfect. And not too long after that, I got an opportunity to fill in and things went really well. And I got the gig and had a tremendous 7 years with them.
Yeah. What was it like playing with Brad Gillis?
So much fun. Brad and I would just hit it off musically, but hit it off as friends too. We hung and just had a ball. We made the 80s happen again in 2008 to 2014.
Mm-hmm. And then the Whitesnake gig came up in 2014. You obviously had to leave Night Ranger to join Whitesnake.
That was pretty much the way it had to work. Yeah, there's only so many. Unfortunately, the cloning thing wasn't an option.
Was it at all intimidating joining Whitesnake, since Coverdale is such a rock music legend and Whitesnake's an iconic band?
I considered it to be a great opportunity for a variety of reasons. Just the working with David Coverdale, who's rock royalty, but also some very I guess notable band members in their own right, and Tommy Aldridge and Reb Beach, and had the opportunity to work with those guys. Whitesnake has just an amazing catalog of songs to be able to play all those great songs and to tour the world and get showcased the way that David does with his players, and obviously to become a guitar player in the band. There's such a long-standing history of great players in the band, so I felt like there was an element of prestige there as well. So yeah, tremendous opportunity, and it's just been phenomenal to date. We're still rolling. Just obviously this year we're on standby with everything that's happening, but I love working for David and have a great time and honored to be a part of the band.
Yeah, what's David like as a boss, as a leader?
He's great. I mean, I didn't know what to expect joining, but it's really just been an amazing experience. I mean, we get along great. He's, I think, very easy to work for. He just expects professionalism, and I just try to do the best I can with that and express the fact that I'm happy to be there and have a positive attitude. And he's really great in terms of always having a positive attitude as well. Very positive guy, and really lots of laughs. I mean, he still really enjoys being one of the guys, and we have a fantastic time.
Yeah, now he's hinted about possibly retiring. Can you shed any light on that? I mean, do you think that is a possibility?
I think he maybe backpedaled a little bit off that. Honestly, I don't think anybody knows what their plans are at this stage of the game, right? I mean, we need to figure out when we can get back out and play and what the realistic plan for Whitesnake would be. Whatever David wants to do, I would totally respect and just support him in whatever his decision would be with that. But obviously, we'd all hope that he would want to keep going a bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great band. Like you said, the catalog's incredible, so it would be a real shame that, if he decided not to ever play again.
Well, also, it just would never have the proper fanfare of saying, like, this is going to be the last go-around, which would be nice for him to have that opportunity, I feel like. So I don't know whether or not he wants that or not, but certainly I feel like that would be a nice opportunity for the fans to say, hey, thanks, David, for a great career. And anyway, you give him the proper send-off.
Right. And again, you're playing with another amazing co-guitarist, Reb Beach. What's it like playing with him every night on stage?
Yeah, I mean, Reb's an amazing rhythm player. So everybody knows he's a great lead player, but we love locking on the rhythms together. He's a great background vocalist as well. All these elements that come together, and in terms of technical facility, we're able to stick with each other on some ideas. So playing harmony guitar with him is really fun. To be able to play some tapping phrases together and things like that is a blast. And great guy. Again, lots of laughs. Seems to be a common theme amongst musicians, I guess, because we all go through so much pain in our lives. We all know how to laugh. Yeah, he's a very funny guy. Great to hang out with.
Now, who comes up with the set list? Is that just David, or does he get the input from the band on the set list for the shows?
Yeah, it's pretty much David. I mean, I would say 90% of it is David, and he definitely runs it by Reb, and then I would sort of be the B option that he runs it by too, a little bit here and there. and ask me what I think of it. But honestly, most of the time, my answer is going to be, sounds great to me, man. I mean, I'm of the mindset of like, whatever David's vision is, let's go back it up and get out there and kick ass for him and try and support the brand as best we can. But yeah, that's pretty much the way it works. I mean, no big mystery that David would have the biggest say in the set, I suppose, right?
Yeah, right. I want to talk a little bit about the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Could there possibly be a more epic like band in the world than the Trans-Siberian Orchestra? I mean, the shows are just, I don't even know how to describe them. They're just mind blowing.
Yeah, it's a really, really special band / production to be a part of. Just obviously the sheer bombast of it. I mean, the the concept of a stage the width of the arena with moving hydraulic lifts and the level of pyro that we get everybody with in the laser light show is beyond belief. So to be a part of the production is amazing, but also just I suppose the tradition of Trans-Siberian Orchestra is another thing that's really amazing, that every year we all get out there together and we spend the holidays together, and we have these open signing lines after the shows, and you actually get to know all the fans, and I mean, they bring gifts for you. It's just like an amazing experience that it'd be very sad to spend a November, December not playing a Trans-Siberian Orchestra tour.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope by some miracle that you guys are able to pull it off this year.
Yes, it would be amazing if we could somehow pull it off.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which you know, is how the wide appeal it has to people of all ages. It's incredible. I've never seen an audience so diverse before in my life at any event.
Yeah, that's really Paul O'Neill's vision. The name itself really touches on that. With the Trans-Siberian Railway is the longest railway that brings the most cultures together and the most people, and that's Paul's vision, putting the band together. So yeah, it's really honestly so fun for me to get to step out into the audience in some of those sections of the show, which is totally different. I could never do that with a normal rock band, and go down and play for a family out there that's 3 generations deep, and play my guitar right for these kids. And I get email after email about kids that have started to play guitar because of that moment. And you realize the impact you can have just from a guy who's 1 minute you're standing on stage playing with all this pyro going off behind you, and the next minute you're down playing guitar right in front of them. These kids look at that like it's like a life-changing moment, and it's really pretty awesome to see the level of excitement that they get from you stepping down and going out and playing for them. It's one of my favorite things about the gig, as cheesy as that sounds. I love that feeling of being able to play for kids too, and not just play for people in my demographic, I suppose, classic rock fans.
Yeah, right. I also would like to talk a little bit about Cher. Now that was kind of surprising to see that you played with Cher, but maybe not so much. What is the experience like playing with her?
Really great. I mean, obviously to get the opportunity to play different styles of music, I'll say, because her set really spans decades. Was a lot of fun for me because I grew up playing a lot of different styles. I don't just play hard rock. So for the musical end of it was fun. And obviously to have that opportunity while you're getting to share the stage with an iconic legend is a blast, you know? I mean, so not much to complain about there for sure. She's a total pro, always treated me very nice. And it's always hard to go beyond that because it's not like Cher and I were hanging out having coffee in the morning or anything like that. You know, people want to know what she's like, but it's like as she was just an amazing pro and a very nice person.
Was there any type of audition process you had to go through to get that, or they just pick you because of your reputation?
So that was a fill-in, really, for her guitar player, Dave Barry, who plays guitar on The Voice. And Dave was busy enough to needed to miss one run. And it started with that, and I went and filled in. And then Dave got more and more busy because Pink was taking the other guitar player from The Voice, Justin Jericho, on the road more and more. They were doing like a promo tour that year, essentially. And so Dave really got locked in at the Voice, and it ended up becoming a little bit more of a full-time situation for me for really 3 years. And so, yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere that it lasted so long. But I didn't have to audition per se, but Justin Derico recommended me to Dave. So it's like a word of mouth thing. And then I just told Dave, don't worry, I'm going to just learn exactly what you play. And I'm going to play it down exactly the way you do. And that's always the way to get your mindset when you're going to fill in for somebody. Don't try and go in and reinvent the wheel, because it just makes everybody uncomfortable.
Right.
When you have something like that, that's a big machine where you've got all these people doing their jobs. You want to just be as familiar as possible to them.
Yeah. I mean, you must do a really, you must have a great personality. You must be easy to get along with, because you keep getting these like really high profile gigs. I mean, that's got to be part of it too, to not just have your chops down, but also, not be like a D-bag.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think that there's definitely an element of bigger gigs where you or more successful musicians that you run across where their personalities are a bit more dialed and they're respectful of other people and are better with people. So there's something to it, but at the same time, there's also just an element of the hard work that you put in and making sure that you're always doing the best you can. So let's say I was the nicest guy in the world, but then I was going out partying until 4 a.m. and I was late for sound check or something. Well, then, there goes that. Right.
Right.
So there just has to be, there's a level of professionalism that has to exist above and beyond just being an agreeable personality. So I would say a hybrid of all those elements. Okay.
The final question I have for you, Joel, is what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's been playing out in their local bar scene, and they established themselves as a good cover band player, but they want to get into the next step where they can start being discovered by established bands and have an opportunity to be considered if anything ever comes up? What kind of advice would you give somebody like that?
I think it's just all about perseverance and hard work. You always have to be outworking the other people, and eventually you get back what you put into it. The perseverance thing is easier for some than others because some never really feel like it's hard times. I guess I had low expectations for myself in a sense, so I was always kind of happy. I look back and go, how did I make it through all that to get, because it took a very long time for things to work out for me, but at the same time, I always felt excited by it all and had a good time with it. So if you can stick through it and just work hard, you eventually get back what you put into it. I think that's a certainty.
All right. Awesome. Well, Joel, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for a great interview. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out too.
This concludes our interview with Joel Hoekstra. For more information on Joel's new project, the Echobats, and to watch their new video single, Save Me From Loving You, please visit facebook.com/EchobatsOfficial. And also, please visit my site, rockmusicstar.com and glammetal.com for all of our Glam Metal Interview Series podcasts. And a big thank you to Eric Robner of the Buffalo Award-winning band Nerds Gone Wild for providing our theme music.